So question about scaling a business, right? I'm at about 10 team members now, bringing on some new ones. You're at 700, so you're a little bit ahead of me. How accessible are you to your team members? Like, how important is that vertical integration with the communication?
I'm accessible. Anyone who messages me that's part of the company, I try to talk to them when possible. It's impossible to talk to everyone every single day or even every week. There's too many people. But the way we look at it is this, there's layers within a corporation. And I don't know everyone. I never will. I wish I did. That's just not the reality. And I try to be there whenever I can, whether it's team meetings or all hand. And we're in a lot of different countries, so there's just no way I can meet everyone.
Until we get that Neil Patel chatbot, and then you could be everywhere all at once. Stop.
That's right. You might as well just create the hologram at the same time too. Put a little hologram thing in everyone's office, and then they can see me interact with me in real time.
It's just got the Neil Patel behind you all the time. I like that. So another question, kind of on this same note. How do you go from serving mom and pop businesses to serving companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Airbnb? How do you make that jump?
You don't make the jump. It's a transition. And everyone believes you, oh yeah, I'm just going to go land these big accounts. It doesn't work that way. You got to crawl before you can walk, and you got to walk before you can run. And it just takes a long time, and you got to slog it out and keep working your way upstream. You do good work for mom and pops, you'll get referrals. Eventually some mid-sized companies will hire you. You keep doing good work. Maybe they introduce you to some other mid-sized companies. Keep doing work, more mid-sized companies. Some of those employees start working at larger corporations, do good work. They're like, oh yeah, we worked with this company. I know we were mid-sized, but they did great work. You start with some of these large companies, but now they're only giving you tiny contracts because you've never really worked with large corporations. You do good work. They're like, oh, maybe we'll give you mid-sized contracts when you work with these large corporations. You do more good work. They'll keep only giving you mid-sized contracts, but then they give it to you for more divisions and more regions because a lot of them are global. And then you keep doing more good work, and then you can get larger contracts for a lot of divisions and a lot of regions.
Yeah, it's kind of the under-promise, over-deliver.
Yes.
Yeah,
and be patient, not like 1 or 2 years or 5 years, give it 10 plus years.
So I appreciate that because I'm seeing some success in my business. I run a podcast agency. I help business thought leaders launch, automate, and grow podcasts. And my largest ticket offer right now is $5,000. That's for basically a launch with 8 episodes from idea to iTunes, right? But now that I'm seeing success, people are coming to me and saying stuff like, Mark, $5,000 isn't enough. You should be charging $80,000. And I'm like, I agree, I'd like to. And I sometimes struggle with, is this imposter syndrome, or is it me waiting to be at the right time, to have the right processes, the right team?
Right team, right processes, right results, and the right type of clientele. See, because even the big companies, just because a company is worth $100 billion or $1 trillion, it doesn't mean they're going to spend 80 grand. If you're worth $1 trillion, spending 80 grand is like spending $1, right? Or maybe even less. I don't know proportion-wise, but you get the point. It's not much. It's insignificant. But just because it's insignificant doesn't mean they're going to just waste it. It has to be the right price for the right value.
What role has your YouTube channel had on you landing big accounts like the Amazons and Microsofts?
Not as much as you think. It's not even SEO. It's not YouTube. It's none of that. Branding does help. What helps more than anything is just doing really, really good work for a lot of different companies. And over time, those employees switch jobs and you get, more accounts as they switch to different companies. That's typically how you get those bigger accounts. The YouTube, the SEO help build a brand, gives you credibility. The way you get the contracts, though, is you provide amazing work, which we talked about. And as people refer you to other companies or move around jobs, eventually someone will land at large corporations and you'll get bigger contracts.
I mean, looking at the digital landscape, it's like shifting all the time. I was talking to Eric Sue about this the other day. It's Google ads, then it's Facebook ads, then it's TikTok influencers, and then it's something we haven't even heard of yet.
Yeah, like TikTok ads and podcasting ads. And they're like, oh, people are using text messaging. Put ads in your text message. Plus, because I got a big list. Like, it's never ending.
Yeah, it's never ending. So
your fridge has an LCD screen. Did you know you put ads in that too? Tell them to order Altadena milk instead of Horizon milk. I'm making this up at this point, but you get the point, right? It's never going to be ending.
Yeah, it's never ending. So it just seems like you're always on this hamster wheel where as soon as you've got it figured out, it's like Google doubles the price of the ads. Like, so what is an evergreen strategy for staying top of mind and building up that traffic?
So one, I like the hamster wheel. For me, it's fun. It just keeps things exciting and you keep learning more and more. The best strategy to keep getting that traffic is don't worry about the platform, whether it's a SEO and you're blogging on your own site, or whether it's YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or TikTok. Just focus on creating amazing, amazing content with the 4 elements I talked about. Google breaks them down: experience, expertise, authority, and trust. And use that content all over the web. You'll stand out. You'll do well, especially in a world with AI, which is what I'm looking forward to, because yes, there's going to be a lot more content creation, but more people are going to use AI to do it. So it's going to be easier to stand out.
I mean, that's something I worry about. Elon Musk was saying the other day that the New York Times is like the Twitter version of diarrhea because they're just posting 100, 200 times a day. And so the quality of the content suffers, but there's this balance because content like Gary Vee, you got to produce 70 pieces of content a day. But how do you do that? I don't have a team of 17 people following me around. AI seems like a really good way to do that.
Or you just produce less content, you make it amazing and you repurpose it. So you create like a long form podcast episode like this. Well, we can create tons of shorts from that. That'll be like 4, 5, 6 pieces of content. The long one will be another one. And then what we could also do is we can transcribe them into a few different articles, right? So maybe you got a few more pieces there. We can also take some of the quotes in this podcast episode, make them some images and some cool stuff. You'll probably produce 10 to 15 pieces of content just from this one 30-minute podcast episode. That's how you scale it up. And as you get better, you can take the Gary Vee approach and start hiring more and more people. But at the beginning, repurpose.
Yeah, repurposing is what I'm all about. That's why most podcasters quit, is they underestimate how difficult it is to create all the content. It's like,
yeah, or they'll do like 10 episodes and be like, this is a lot of work. I didn't get enough traction. I'm like, well, you created 10 episodes. You'll do it in a few months. Try doing it for 5 years.
Props. Yes. It's not easy, but that's what we try to do, is try to make it easier. Speaking of which, kind of like a selfish personal question here. I'm putting a lot of podcast episodes up on websites like this. This interview is going to go up on the MarkSpot Media website. And one of the challenges that I have is figuring out what's the best keyword for my article. What are your thoughts on using your guest as one of the key words for your blog posts?
I think it's a great idea. Why wouldn't you? Especially if your guests are popular. Like, let's say Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is super popular. Everyone around the world, or a lot of people around the world, know who he is. Why wouldn't you do that? Or Kim Kardashian. If you had Kim Kardashian, use it as a keyword. Why not?
Well, so my thought is, that was my initial thought. It's good to know that my intuition is spot on. But the flip side is that, now I have to compete. Neil Patel has probably 100 million impressions on the web. Now I have to compete against there's a lot more competition, right?
Yeah, but that's okay. There's also a lot more search traffic too. So you'll get a portion of that and it all adds up.
Fair. Good point. How important do you think it is for podcasters and content creators to create separate posts for each podcast episode? Or should I just have a single podcast page? Easier to do that. I just have a single podcast page with an embedded player.
You need a different page for each episode, assuming each episode could be detailed, descriptions, reviews, all that kind of good stuff. The reason I asked you that question, again, because I wasn't fully paying attention, and it was because of this. Check this out. What is the most searched query on Google worldwide? All right, so number 1 is a brand. Number 2 is a brand. That's YouTube, Facebook. Number 3 is Google. That's a brand. 4, WhatsApp web. I'll count that as a brand because it's WhatsApp. They just want to use the web version. 5 is weather. Let's not count that. Gmail is a brand. That's 5 now. Translate is not a brand. Amazon's a brand. That's 6. Google Translate, they're just looking to translate stuff. That's not a brand. Instagram is a brand. So 7 out of 10 of the most popular searches on Google, I'm assuming you can still see my screen, are brands. So people are brands as well. Search volumes for people go through the roof. Great example, Messi signs with Miami, whatever it's called. I don't know the...
Miami Inner, baby.
All right. Are you based out of Miami?
Just north of Miami, yeah.
There you go. So, everyone started searching for Messi. When he scored a goal, oh my God, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, the internet blew up, which is another thing I think about, like how much of my content should be trending topics that everyone's searching for and how much should be evergreen that's still valuable 5 years from now.
We spend 80+% of our time on the evergreen stuff.
It's
It uses consistent traffic. We spend like 20% of our time on the short-term stuff.
interesting.